The biggest difference between working in a DAW and working with tape is editing. DAW users, of course, enjoy nonlinear editing, dragging clips or regions around an edit or arrange window easily to cut or move sections of a recording around for both corrective and creative purposes. With tape, this kind of editing would require sections of the tape to be physically cut with a razor blade and joined or spliced back together with special purpose splicing tape. In the analog era, this was the skill that separated the pros from the amateurs, and it was an essential skill for anyone serious about being a recording engineer. Once the tape is cut, it's usually impossible to redo the edit successfully, especially if that would involve cutting at a different point very close to the failed edit point. So you basically have one shot to get it right. Here's how razor blade editing works. Let's say you needed to make a basic edit, maybe trimming a 1-bar instrumental section. In a DAW, of course, you just select the section you want to cut out, delete it, and drag the following region over to fill the gap. With tape, you'd have had to make 2 razor blade cuts, at the beginning and at the end of the section to be removed. The cuts would be done with the aid of a splicing block. The block, matched to the width of the tape, contains a groove to hold the tape and a slot to guide the razor blade when making the cut. This is relatively straightforward, but the trick was locating the exact spot to cut without the benefit of the visual waveform display or bar and beat ruler that would guide you in a DAW. To locate the best spot for the cut, engineers used a technique called rocking the reels. In stop mode, the tape lifters were disengaged so the tape remained in contact with the heads. The engineer then moved the reels slowly by hand, rocking them back and forth while listening to the resulting slow-speed, pitched-down audio. Good engineers became accustomed to identifying specific elements in the audio, like the slow, dragged-out thump of a transient, usually the best place to make a cut. When both cut points were identified, the engineer would mark those spots on the tape with a grease pencil, position the tape in the groove in the splicing block, and make each cut guided by the slot for the razor. Most of the time, the cut was made at a 45-degree angle to avoid potential clicks. This is the equivalent of applying a short crossfade at the edit point in a DAW, which serves the same purpose. Once the section was cut out, the previous and following sections of the tape were joined together with splicing tape to complete the edit. Once again, the 2 ends of the tape were positioned carefully in the groove in the splicing block to hold them in position, and the splicing tape was applied across them and gently smoothed for a clean splice. If everything was done well, when that section of the tape was played, the transition would be seamless, both free of clicks or pops and in perfect musical timing, with the actual edit point indistinguishable. Nowadays, even when analog tape is used to record something, mostly for its sonic quality, the recordings are usually dumped into Pro Tools or another DAW of choice for editing. But the ability to perform manual razor blade edits is still a good experience to bring to the table, even for modern recordists. In fact, some DAWs even emulate the rocking the reel functionality. Initially, this was to offer analog engineers transitioning to digital editing a familiar editing paradigm. Nowadays, it might still come in handy for those rare cases when the visual display may not be sufficient to easily identify the best edit point. Next up, working techniques specific to tape.